Oh my goodness, it feels so good to be back in the disc golf world. What is up? Wild Runs here. Let's talk about how we got a three-way playoff at the first event of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Let's get into it.
Here we go. Terry, what a shot. This is exactly.
All right, in case you missed it, I am officially a father. I've posted 2 videos this year, which usually I have like 20 or 30. I don't know. It's been a long time coming. So hopefully you do enjoy being back in this disc golf world with me. But I will say I'm literally recording this right next to my baby. So if I seem at all distracted, I have obvious reasons for that. First off, I gotta say, I love where DGN is going. They seem to have fixed a lot of the issues, mainly sound, for which you can actually hear everything, which is super refreshing. I feel like we should have gotten that a long time ago, but I certainly appreciate that, as well as making the entire stream for MPO and FPO one single stream. It seems like such a small thing, but man, it just helps so much. And I won't say anything about commentators because that's just never going to change. So on to the event itself. Honestly, besides backouts being brutal, we knew that was coming. It's a brutal course. There's a ton of places where people choke, but you can certainly see that Paul and Dylan have put so much work into this property, and it really shows. And I know last year there was a lot of complaints about it being like too muddy or whatever. This year there was no weather complaints. It was such a good course, which was very reflective in the scoring, at least in MPO. But just look at where we were before and now. We had LVC, we had Memorial, a lot of courses that just were so bland, so boring. This course is entering year after year, and honestly it feels shocking it wasn't on the tour sooner. And I feel like if you had to make a gripe, you could say that like some holes are truly blow-up holes that could ruin your entire tournament. But to me that adds to why this course is so fun, because it does require so much consistency on the entire course. And this is powerful consistency, like 1,000-foot holes that are an insanely straight narrow gap that you have to hit. And if you don't, aka Hall and Handley, then you are well out of position, making it a very uncomfortable second shot. And then the last thing before we actually break it down, Hailey had made some weird posts about another cultural thing. I don't know. And then she also posted some like Fortnite stats, but she's not totally relevant right now, so it is what it is. So on to MPO. We will start off with the lead because it was a shocking destruction of the entire MPO field. And that is because we have a new first-time winner, Ezra Robinson, picking up exactly where he left at the latter part of last season, showing to everyone why he is the better brother 99% of the time, at least when majors are not playing. But seriously, AB was on a heater and it looked like he was going to run away with it. AB does what he does in some final rounds and kind of fell apart at the start of the final round. And so Ezra just had to keep on playing consistent. After a stretch of 5 birdies through 7 and AB going +1 through that stretch, the entire momentum was on Ezra. And while I do feel like Ezra has some moments, especially last season, where like that final 9 is where he can kind of fall apart, it didn't happen once this entire round, it felt like. But honestly, no shade to AB. He's proving again and again why he is so good, especially on courses like these. And while his putting confidence does kind of plague him, I still think he played phenomenal. And sure, he had a couple of air balls in the final round, but it is what it is. He gets second place with 6 strokes behind Ezra, shooting the course record, ending the entire event with a 1073 and a final round of 1087. And honestly, the second that Isaac came to caddy for him, he just seemed smooth, calm, confident. There was nothing that was really that concerning for him.
It's amazing. If I could start off hot, then like kind of get in the driver's seat and then kind of control it from there. And I was able to get, I think 4 through 5. And so I was like, okay, as soon as we get to the back 9, I'm happy, because that's when it's so cool to have a sibling to compete with, to practice with throughout the week, and just like spurring each other forward. And so it's unreal.
And before we get to some of the crazier parts of this event for MPO, third place was Paul. This feels right. Like, I don't feel like I'm shocked by this. He played well, had a terrible stretch to start the final round, but overall, Paul does what he does. Had nearly the highest birdie percentage of the entire field, #1 in scramble. His putting percentages were a little bit low, 87 from circle 1, but honestly, it never felt like he was really that much in contention. But I will say, Paul McBeth did kind of devolve in his game last year, so to see him come back third place feels like he's definitely adjusting to parenthood and kind of getting his bearings back after being someone that was never truly in contention last year. And so we move on to some of the crazier parts of this round, starting with Calvin. Oh my freaking goodness, Calvin. And if you looked at the scores, you probably wouldn't think twice. You'd be like, yeah, Calvin played good, final round, whatever. But no, he was playing so good, he was going to crush the record by almost 5 strokes. But of course, Calvin does what he does and falls apart at the very end. And sure, you could bring up the point, like, did it even matter? Maybe, maybe not. But going into hole 17, he was 13 under, which included a 61-footer, which honestly doesn't even feel that crazy, because if you've seen him play Thread on the Mountain like the last 5 years, you could have guessed he's going to shred. But it is shocking that he only shredded in 1 round, and that was the final round. And another player that I thought was really gonna destroy was Simon. And throughout the entire weekend, he looked like he was just hanging on enough to be in contention. And then the final round, I was like, okay, he might actually like get top 3, might win. I don't know. And that's because he was 7 under through 9. But then Simon does what he does, and he kind of loses momentum after one bad shot. And then it kind of seemed like there was no momentum to be had because he just kept missing shots, going way off his line, and then gets a double on hole 16. But to me, the real standout of the top 10 was Jake Monn. And we've seen him have some hot rounds, some great like top 10s, but nothing in the realm of this finish besides a 5th place finish at DMC. Starting out the event with a 1060, which is 36 points above his rating, which included a double on hole 4. I really thought he might have what it takes to be in the podium. Ultimately, his final round was just not great, like not bad, not great. And it was even after 12 holes, so we knew he wasn't really gonna win or anything. But if you've ever watched him live, he's such a fun player to watch. So I love to hear stuff like this from a player that you don't really get to see that often, but is so much fun to watch. And also just has the best vibes. But a player that did not meet expectations was Niklas. There were quite a few other players that did not even cash, but honestly, I don't really care about that. I think a player that I thought was going to play so much better being top 5 was Niklas. Finishing 45th with a first round of 1006 rated, it's just not something you expect. I don't really know what was going on, but it certainly feels like maybe this isn't really Niklas's course, so I don't really think there's much to it, but damn, I really want Niklas to crush this entire season. So to see him finish 45th feels very out of character. But onto the real story, FPO.
Oh, baby, a triple!
A 3-way playoff on the first event of the year. Oh my goodness. I gotta say, huge shout out to Macie Diaz. Literally had a baby last year. We have no expectations for her play, but she showed up with her best finish, career high. Got that mom power. I love it, especially as someone that has a newborn right now. I'm struggling to keep it together. I could not imagine being a professional athlete. And it looked like there was moments where everyone else might fumble and she might just sneak up like a 3rd place finish, but she does finish in 4th. So go Macie. And I will say Kristin was not here. Even if Kristin was here, there's no guarantee she would have dominated. And I know this is an early prediction, but I truly do not think Kristin's dominance in the past will be relevant this year. I think she's going to get still probably 2 major wins and probably 3 or 4 Elite Series, which is amazing, no doubt. But I think her level of dominance will not look at all like it used to. I just think there's so many other players that play great every weekend that her level of play just isn't as good as it needs to be winning week after week. But onto the juicy 3-way playoff, we have Holland, Evelina, and Ella. Call me crazy, I did not think Ella was even going to be close to the running. I thought Holland was going to run away with it. And I know Evelina did win last year, so I feel like she does have some amount of favoritism on this event, but I know how Evelina is on the putting, and putting on this course can be brutal, which was very evident in Evelina's putting, as it is always. But it is very interesting that Evelina's putting was actually significantly better than Ella's. And especially with a pretty slow start from Ella with 2 bogeys, it seemed like it was truly up to Evelina and Holland to take away this win. But missed putt after missed putt continued to plague Evelina with a total of 7 missed circle 1 putts in the final round. And really what felt like Evelina losing her confidence, playing super fast at moments where Holland was playing great and at moments where Holland was not playing that good at all. But I will say when Holland jams in a putt, it just feels like she has so much momentum, especially when Evelina is over here missing putts. And to me, the biggest momentum shift was Holland's putt on hole 9. Just absolutely jamming it in dead center. Really, while all these top 3 players have great distance, I feel like Ella's putter is what really keeps her behind. For some reason, especially in this final round, it felt like she was just playing smooth and confident. It could be the fact that she knew she was pretty far behind, so she had to keep a good pace to keep up with these players, but whatever was going through her mind, it was working. Ella's putt on 13 really was the momentum shift to put her in contention. And just when I was counting out Evelina, she does this on hole 16, insanity. And then what feels like the most Holland thing to do with 2 holes to go, she throws right out of bounds. And I won't say this is an easy shot. This is certainly hard, but for players that have come this far, you do not expect to go right into the OB, like not even close. It was hard OB. And Evelina absolutely capitalizes along with Ella, and so we move on to the final hole. There's actually a lot of factors at play that make this pretty difficult. Unless, of course, you're Simon, who can throw it from the tee pad to circle 1. Still insanity that ever happened. And they both absolutely nail it for birdie. So it is all up to these 3 players to nail a birdie to win this. Except for Evelina, who had to get a birdie just to make it to the playoff, but whatever. Ella has a perfect drive. Evelina goes right into the OB, and Holland, having so much momentum throughout this entire final round, throws it into potentially one of the worst places ever. And so it is all up to Ella to make this upshot for a potentially easy eagle. And she throws it short. Ella could have thrown it so much deeper, had so much room, but she throws it short. So we get a 3-way playoff. Absolutely insane. This is what peak disc golf looks like. It did require Evelina to throw a perfect dime, and she did it, which was certainly awesome, but who cares? We move on to a 3-way playoff. So Holland and Ella throw pretty much the most stock shots, and Evelina chokes. pretty much immediately out of it. So it is just up to these two. And they basically do the exact same shots, and Holland throws her upshot pretty short. I wouldn't say way short, but pretty short. So it is up to Ella again to just not choke, and then she parks it for the easy tap-in eagle. And Holland succumbs to the pressure, marking Ella's second Pro Tour win after OTB last year. Absolutely love to see it. I think Ella is one of the most positive and fun players on tour, so I truly wish the best for her, and I think her play was phenomenal. Just consistently great distance. And again, this is a player that played Ultimate like 3 years ago. It is insane to see the growth from the player that she was at Waco 2 years ago against Kristin. She has evolved so much, and her confidence, while it is still a little bit shaky on putting, her drives feel like the best on the entire tour. I don't think anyone is beating her besides maybe Evelina, and so this feels like a well-deserving win. But with that, what do you guys think? Did you think this event was worthy of being the first event of the year? Do you feel like the hype is actually worth it? Were you surprised by Gannon and Niklas kind of choking this weekend? I'd love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. And again, I have a newborn, probably not going to be the best editing I've ever done, so be sure to subscribe. Wild Runs, signing out. Peace.